Hi and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very, out of your very busy Thursday to join me. If you can forgive me, I've not practiced my melodic tones today. You feel me? Also, I'm a 36-year-old man who is convinced that his entire life will be spent in sort of like this gray puberty kind of area. An interesting sidebar, I know, but I say these things because I still wake up with like acne. Like I'm 10, you know? Anyways, I hope that you guys had a wonderful day. I know that was sort of an off, kind of a sidebar note there, but I got a new light for the camera today, so I'm kind of excited. But as I'm looking into the camera, yeah, I just between that and refusing to want to learn how to grow facial hair properly and being upset that I have, more than like 10 chest hairs. Yeah, I obviously have aging on my mind a lot, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. And if I haven't already, let me thank you guys for joining the channel, obviously. To all the new subs and viewers, I really appreciate y'all and your time. And I think it's really cool that, we got it going on. Now we just need to add a few 100,000 more people to the recipe. And I think we got something going. But tonight I want to talk about downwinders. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the term downwinder, it refers to geographical areas that are actually identified by the federal government as places where radioactive fallout, is has taken place. And so, to put this into perspective, let's set ourselves up for the topic, okay? And prior to World War II, and the development of the atomic bomb, or let's fast forward to the early 50s, right? We won't get into the whole story of, there's a whole movie about that. It's actually a really good movie. Anyways, so in the early 50s, the federal government decided that we still needed to continue to develop and test nuclear weapons here in America. Long story short, they chose a site in Nevada at which they were to perform what would be 928 high power nuclear explosive bomb detonations right here in the middle of the desert. You know, I mean, again, I'm not the one making the decisions here, nor was I, obviously, like a long time ago or whatever, but it's just not a good idea. Nuclear weapons are, I'm obviously a fan and have advocated and will continue to advocate for nuclear proliferation. I'm not a fan of, minimizing nuclear weapons so much as I am completely abolishing the use of them in the modern world. But that's just, I think that's more early 20th century and a part of the 21st century talk, you feel me? But that wasn't ever really presented as an option to the free world as it would be by any high level politician. I mean, again, we've had a good reduction in the number of nuclear bombs that are produced and how many we have in our cache here in the United States. But still, as I talk to you in this vlog, I'm located just just a short drive from what can be actually, you can Google this, but the most nuclear weapons on the entire Western Hemisphere of the world is literally just a short drive from where I'm making this vlog right now. Just a short drive from where I grew up. And so the downwind area is a serious topic in that it affects and impacts to this day millions of people in the region. And so, as a result of nearly 1,000 voluntarily nuclear weapons being detonated in the middle of the desert, and moreover, this land that was used for the testing was stolen from indigenous people, specifically the Shoshone tribes were the ones that the federal government utilized eminent domain to get their land, you know what I mean? And so, long story short, people in Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Washington, Idaho, Oregon, all of these places, and not to mention the indigenous tribes that still reside, like literally wall to wall with this testing site and or the borders from within it, were exposed to massive amounts of radiation, and as a result, have a high likelihood of developing certain kinds of cancer. Thyroid cancer is one of them. Women are 49% more likely to develop a negative reaction to the overexposure of radiation in this area. And, as a local, as a multi generational local, somebody who has been in this area and whose family's been in this area for, too long to remember, I know this. I know that it's unfortunate that the federal government decided to use our backyard to test nuclear bombs. Again, I really can't even imagine, the Cold War era and so forth. We've talked about that on the program before, and we've also publicly stated that that was a total hoax, for lack of a better word. The entire Cold War, right? My argument is that it was just, a false flag sort of a thing for there to be an argument to get people scared about other countries potentially utilizing nuclear weapons, when in fact, America was the, leader in assembling the largest cache of nuclear weapons, in recorded human history. And so it's all just rooted in dishonest information, in the fact that there's really no reason why you'd want to test nearly 1,000 nuclear bombs, on, on one, your sovereign soil, and moreover on any soil. I mean, these are the numbers for our country. You can imagine, between the industrialized powers of the world, how many voluntary nuclear explosions have happened on the the terrain. I mean, we are terrestrial beings, We reside on the surface of the planet, and things that we do to the surface of the planet will impact us. It's just one of those common sense kind of games, And while I'm sure that there is some scientific, sort of intelligence and data to gather from having these kinds of explosions, I certainly don't think it's worth the risk. And unfortunately, there are, again, a large number of people in southern Utah, Nevada, Arizona, parts of California, New Mexico, that have been exposed to radiation without really their even with one obviously without their consent, and two, we don't even know it. I mean, I'll tell you, growing up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, they never mention in public schools here how the federal government, conducted nearly 1,000 nuclear test detonations in the area. It's bad. It's bad for people. It's bad for the land. It's bad for business on a governmental, argument, in that it's just not worth the risk. And as we speak now, radiation and radioactive fallout has a very large half life, and it's no wonder Nevada is sparsely populated. But it's also ironic that it is Sin City, and Sin City is back to back doors, sharing a back door with one of the most radioactive places on the surface of this planet. So I mean, you take what you can get, I guess, in terms of, you want to set up some casinos here, be my guest. It's not like, yeah, so it's just, and I jokingly say all of these things again because I am a local, and, just, it's unfortunate to hear about, like, really old government programs that have continued to take away land from Native Americans. They've continued to poison the land and the air, and have had no accountability. It was not until the early 90s that that particular site was stopped for being used as a nuclear test site. Nonetheless, it was utilized as such for nearly 50 years. And so the people that live there will always have to deal with the nuclear fallout, quite literally. And again, they suffer and are dying because of the radioactive fallout. And it's just inexcusable, to say the least. Link in the description below. There's some really cool documentaries and some really cool information on both Downwinders and a link to a really cool documentary that highlights all of the negative effects it's had on all of the local indigenous people there in southern Nevada, the Shoshone people. And again, it's pretty disheartening. And to say the least, there again has been zero accountability on behalf of the federal government, other than the recognition of there being higher cancer rates and of there being a warning issued to people in those areas that it is, in fact, a nuclear fallout site. And so I hope that you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you again. I really like making these videos. I like talking to y'all about this stuff. It goes a long way, and we have 3 other streams tonight, so it should be fun. But yeah, Downwinders, and also for the record, I'm passionate about nuclear proliferation. More than I've heard from my peers, colleagues, and or just in the general community. I say this because again, it's no joke that I grew up within seeing distance of the largest cache of nuclear bombs in the entire Western Hemisphere. That's a true story. And so, as a child, growing up here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the culture is pretty rich, and we do value our people as it would be, our inclusiveness, in that we're a very diverse community here in northern New Mexico with a plethora of different kinds of cultures and religions and people. And it's a pretty interesting place. It's an interesting place because of the history that it holds as it concerns the world. It's just something I'm passionate about, and I wish that the world would not need nuclear bombs. I don't see there being a reason for it other than the continued sort of effort to dominate other people and force your views on them and turn them into taxpayers and call it a day. If we could all be doing so well as the Sultan of Bernays or Bernay or whatever, you know who I'm talking about. If you don't, it's better that you don't. Okay, so anyways, thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. I know the video is getting a little long, but Downwinders and nearly 1,000 nuclear bomb tests is a big deal. I mean, we used 2. We're the only country in the history of what we know of to utilize the atomic and nuclear bomb, right? In both Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And that was 2 bombs. We've used many, 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 many more, and many more powerful ones here on our own land. Like, again, it's just silly. It's so silly that I can't understand why any grown adults would ever collude together to sort of make these plans happen. I just don't understand. But it is what it is. It's not like we can take back the 1,000 nuclear tests that occurred just a few hundred miles from where I'm making this video. It's unfortunate, and I'm laughing because of its unfortunate, sort of outcome. And that's with the best attitude I can have. Again, with the local sort of thing that I have for it. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, all right? Thanks for joining me. Bye.